Hey, it's Keto Dick, and today I want to talk to you about stop eating too much fat. I know this sounds a little ridiculous since you only just got used to the idea of eating fat, but this also answers the questions for some of you of how do you eat fat to lose weight? Okay, so the confusion I think comes from two places. One, the introductory phase, and two, the maintenance phase, not the weight loss phase. So during the introductory phase, your body basically screams for carbohydrates because whether you're tapering or going directly into keto, you've removed the glucose and the glycogen that's usually available to your body at this point. So what ends up happening is that you have this tendency to be hungry and you need to fire up your fat burning processes. You need to upcycle the enzymes in your liver. You need to reorganize the mitochondrial functions of your cells to be able to utilize these ketone bodies from the breakdown of the triglycerides. So there's a lot of changes that need to take place. And during this time, some people do lose quite a bit of weight. A lot of that is water weight from the dehydration that comes from flushing out the glycogen. Your body also retains less salt and retains less water as a function of that as well. So, one of the things that you need to consider when you go onto this diet is that uh, your body is going to go through this adaptation phase, which for thinner people will take, something like 2 to 4 weeks, and for heavier set people can take 4 to 8 weeks. But during this time period, people say that you're learning a new way of eating. You're also adjusting. Your body doesn't have as much availability to your body fat as it needs, and it's still upcycling its ability to utilize energy from that body fat. So, in the beginning, you should limit your carbs, make sure you get adequate protein, and then the fat can be fairly unlimited. And even if you're overeating a little bit in this period or you're going above your calories, your appetite still isn't controlled yet because your insulin levels are still regulating as you go into this carbohydrate withdrawal. So during this period of carbohydrate withdrawal, your insulin levels, both the insulin responses to the food that you eat and the insulin that you produce throughout the day, are decreasing and increasing the function of an enzyme called lipidase that breaks down adipose tissue or body fat. So during this first month, you neither have the glucose you're used to nor the ability to efficiently run off of fat. Then you hit your period where you're fat adapted and you begin to want to lose weight. This is the period where your hunger should self regulate, and rather than imposing calorie restrictions on yourself, you should be able to comfortably go into a calorie deficit and lose weight over a period of time because you're no longer as hungry. This is the period during which some people institute just having bulletproof coffee in the morning or doing intermittent fasting, either the 5-2 model or something like the 16-8, which you can research separately. But the point is that your hunger that used to rule your life now becomes under control because of the regulation of the insulin in the bloodstream. And the insulin in the bloodstream no longer being present, you don't have that interference with the function of lipidase. So your body begins to have more of this body fat broken down available for utilization by the body. And furthermore, on a cellular level, your mitochondria have become more accustomed to utilizing these energy sources. So now your body is also uptaking this energy that's being produced. So in the beginning, the fat is really used to allow you to have something to eat when you legitimately don't have energy, either in the form of glycogen or glucose, nor yet have you become fat adapted and getting sufficient amounts of energy from the fat within your body. Once you hit the weight loss phase, people start talking about pushing the fats or hitting their fat goal. Fat is optional. You, even on a 10% lean body mass or 10% body fat person that only weighs 100 pounds would have 10 pounds of fat. And 10 pounds of fat is 35,000 calories or 388 grams worth of, or sorry, 3,888 grams worth of fat that your body has available for ketogenic processes. And people are talking about they're eating 80 grams of fat a day and they need to get in that last 20. No, they don't. They have almost 4,000 grams of fat if they're at 10% body fat and they weigh 100 pounds. Most of the people interested in keto for weight loss are at something like 20, 30, or 40% body fat and weigh something closer to 200 pounds. So there's almost unlimited fat available for ketosis once you're keto adapted, which is part of what suppresses your hunger, that you have energy available all throughout the day. Now, the other confusing part is towards the end, you do need to push the fats. Because let's say you've lost all the weight that you want to lose and you have a healthy look to you. You don't want to get drawn out. You don't want to look like you're starving. So, in that case, you don't want to use body fat. In that case, you need to return to something like 75 or 70% fat in your diet. And the other thing that you need to consider is now that you're no longer wanting calorie deficits, then let's say you've been losing weight for a year, that means for a year, almost daily, or at least on a week long period, you've been operating at mostly a calorie deficit. So now you both need more fat as a percentage in your diet and you need more total grams of everything because you're eating more food. So people that are on a way of eating and a lifelong style of doing keto do need to sometimes chase sources of fat because they no longer have body fat to work off of. But especially for beginners that are confused about where they get all this extra fat, you get all the extra fat from your body. And you don't need to be chasing fat in your diet. The reason that so much fat is encouraged in the first month is because you don't yet have the energy available from being fat adapted, and you don't yet have your hunger controlled because your insulin levels aren't yet regulated. So to tell somebody to cut back on their fats or to try to reduce their calories in month one is just kind of cruel because they legitimately are just going to feel fatigued and crappy. Now, the extent to which they complain about that or admit that is variable. The extent to which their biology transitions quicker or slower is variable, has things to do with gender, age for women, where they are in their cycle, and all sorts of things like this. So that's why people give these broad ranges of 2 to 4 weeks for thinner people and 4 to 8 weeks for heavier people. There's no exact day where you're fat adapted. But remember, in the introductory phase, you do need to get a fairly large amount of fat in your diet. And in the maintenance phase, you need to get a fairly large amount of fat in your diet. But if you're trying to lose weight and you're asking, why do I need to push the fats? Do I need to get all of my fats in for the day? Absolutely not. In fact, if you're frustrated by your weight loss, especially if you're already past week 5 and you're not feeling hungry throughout the day, try reducing the amount of fat that you eat in a day by about 20 grams. 20 grams works out to 180 calories. And so if you want to try 30 grams, that's cutting 270 calories a day. That's a reasonable amount of calories to try to cut out. And so I don't encourage anybody in keto to go to bed hungry or anything like that. For me personally, I have days where I eat near the amount of calories that I need to, and other days where I eat about half the calories that I need to, just because of the vacillation in my hunger. And I don't try to restrict it. And I notice that when I track it and don't restrict it, I tend to operate on a deficit anyways. So introductory phase frequently is very high fat. Then during the weight loss phase, you can cut the fat way back and your body will operate and run ketogenic processes off your body fat. Then in the maintenance phase, when you no longer have body fat to give, you need to reintroduce higher amounts of dietary fat for your body to continue to run off of dietary fat for your new permanent maintenance weight. I hope that removes some of the confusion around fat and its role in the ketogenic processes. At no point does consuming fat fire up keto or accelerate ketosis. It doesn't help you get back into ketosis. So adding dietary fat to get into ketosis doesn't make any sense. Restriction of calories is how you get into ketosis. Restriction of carbohydrates is how you get into ketosis. Supplementation of dietary fat is not necessary for ketosis. It's necessary to sustain ketosis in maintenance phase, and fat is good for satiation in introductory phase. But during the weight loss phase, definitely cut your fats back, hit your protein targets, and keep those carbohydrates restricted. I hope this helps, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey. Have a good day.